Welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you've been feeling the absolute weight of the modern world lately, the endless hustle, those relentless notifications, the burnout that literally feels like a feature instead of a bug in our professional lives, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving into a profoundly beautiful piece of 16th century wisdom. It's a Hukamnama, a divine command from the sacred scripture of Sikhism, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib. We're going to unpack this timeless metaphor and see how it actually gives us a totally relevant blueprint for finding deep inner peace right smack in the middle of our chaotic modern lives.
So the text hooks us right out of the gate with this really striking image, and I actually want you to ask yourself this exact question. What can the poor crane accomplish by bathing in the mud puddle? In this ancient text, the crane sinking into the mire represents someone stuck in the mess of superficial pursuits. And I really want you to think about your own mud puddles today. I mean, for a lot of us, it's the exhausting pursuit of status, right? Or it's toxic workplace politics. It's that constant anxiety of comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's carefully curated highlight reel. The text warns us that if you keep bathing in that mud, your filth is never washed away. Honestly, you just get more tired.
But then, we get this stunning, almost breathtaking counterimage, the swan. The swans are in the pool, and the pool is in the swans. The swan represents a soul that has found profound joy, deep gratitude, and a real sanctuary in simple, quiet truths. And what I absolutely love about this quote is the idea that the pool is in the swans. They don't just visit a place of peace, they completely internalize it. They carry that peaceful sanctuary around with them, whether they're meditating in a quiet room or sitting in the middle of a high-stress board meeting.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1, The Swan and the Crane, a tale of two mindsets.
What we're really looking at here isn't just nice poetry, it's a super practical mental model. Next time your stress levels spike, just pause and ask yourself, am I being the crane or the swan right now? A life driven by superficiality and anxiety, that's the crane, sinking into the mire, thrashing around but never actually getting clean. But the swan? The swan gathers nectar and merges with the celestial Lord. This is a life deeply rooted in spiritual depth, integrity, and grace. The swan isn't out there frantically splashing around. It's calmly gliding, nourished by something far, far deeper than that superficial mud.
Moving on to Section 2, Escaping the Mud Puddle, Recognizing the Trap.
So, if we actually want to move from the chaotic splashing of the crane to the graceful glide of the swan, we first have to understand exactly why we get stuck in the mud of our daily routines to begin with. And the Hukamnama hits the nail on the head by identifying a very specific psychological trap that catches, well, almost all of us. That trap is called duality, or dukkha. Now, obviously, this is a spiritual concept, but let's break it down into everyday terms. Duality is basically the illusion that you are entirely separate from the universe and from everyone around you. It's that toxic mindset that life is just one big zero-sum game. When you view yourself as an isolated competitor against your peers, thinking, oh, if they win a promotion, I lose, that right there is duality. And it leads directly to constant comparison, bruised egos, and unending workplace conflict. It's literally the mud we get stuck in.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens. Living with this duality leaves us completely trapped by doubts and, as the text says, crying in pain, basically just wasting our precious energy. But stepping away from it, that allows for thoughtful deliberation and true liberation. Because when you finally drop that exhausting need to be constantly right or to feel superior to your colleagues, you stop fighting everyone and you start actually living.
Which brings us to Section 3, Finding Your Inner Pool, Connecting to the Divine Presence.
So how do we actually find that liberation? Well, once we step away from the mud of duality and all that workplace competition, the text points us toward an ocean of pearls. This represents a profound, calm presence that is literally always available to us if we just learn how to access it in our quiet moments. The text describes this universal source of bliss so beautifully. The Yogi, the Primal Lord, sits within the celestial sphere of deepest Samaadhi. He is not male and he's not female. What's really fascinating here is how the text completely strips away our human labels. This divine presence, this ultimate source of profound peace, is way beyond our petty human categories. It serves as this incredibly comforting, unshakable anchor. When the noise of a busy workday just gets to be way too much, this is that deep pool we're invited to retreat to.
All right, Section 4, Overcoming the Ego, Subduing the Need to Win.
Now, the one massive thing blocking us from that deep pool of peace is, you guessed it, our own ego. I mean, we all face career stress. We all have these daily ego battles. And the source describes the symptoms of this ego in doubt perfectly. One of them is making many efforts but still tortured. Let's be real. Does that sound familiar? Think about how many of us are making so many efforts, working late, answering emails at midnight, aggressively climbing that corporate ladder, and yet we still feel completely tortured by anxiety. The text gives us a stark warning here. Without true spiritual grounding, all this exhausting effort just leaves us alienated from our true selves. We end up trapped in a cycle of doubt, totally wasting our precious life.
But luckily, the antidote is right here in the text. Subduing ego, one meets the Lord and places his feet on the path. Let's translate this to your typical Tuesday morning. Letting go of your workplace pride, dropping that intense need to have the absolute last word in a meeting, and just flat out refusing to engage in toxic material comparison. That is how you subdue the ego. And the exact moment you do that, you stop spinning your wheels in the mud and you actually place your feet firmly on the path of true peace.
So, Section 5, Reaching the Fourth State, Ascending Beyond the Noise.
So the crucial point is, where does this path actually lead? The Hukamnama structures this whole journey as an ascension toward a much higher state of being that completely changes how we experience the world. The text refers to this as the fourth state, or Chothe Pad. Now normally, we experience life in three pretty volatile states: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. And we're just constantly bouncing between temporary joys and sudden sorrows, right? Well, the fourth state is entirely different. It's a state of deep, unshakable inner peace. It exists firmly beyond those everyday worldly distractions. Really, think of it as the ultimate antidote to modern burnout. It's this incredibly steady inner foundation that remains totally unshaken, whether you just got a massive bonus at work or you just went through the worst career setback of your life.
And when you manage to center your mind in this fourth state, something truly amazing happens. As the text says, chastity, purity, and self-restraint are infused into the heart. Basically, reaching this state naturally brings immense integrity and calm into our daily actions. You don't have to painstakingly force yourself to be a good or ethical person. It just becomes your natural default state. Your actions at work, in your relationships, and honestly, even just with yourself, they become immaculate and true. Why? Because you're finally operating from a place of deep, profound peace, rather than a place of frantic scarcity.
Which brings us nicely to our final section, Section 6, Walking the Path Today, Bringing the Wisdom to Life.
Because let's be honest, ancient wisdom is only really as good as our ability to use it right now, today. So how do we take all this beautiful abstract poetry and frame it as a totally accessible daily practice for busy young professionals? Well, it's not about following some rigid, strict set of rules. It's just about shifting how we walk through our day. And the text actually gives us an incredibly actionable daily to-do list. Step 1. Speak, read, and hear of the one Lord. In a practical sense, this can simply mean taking a few quiet moments in your crazy day for deep gratitude, really tuning in to the fundamental unity of everything around you instead of getting lost in the noise. Step 2. Forsake duality. Just stop viewing your coworkers as threats. Try to see the shared humanity in your office. And Step 3. Subdue the ego. Let go of that desperate need for external validation, and just do good work simply for the sake of doing good work.
And what exactly is the promise if we do all this? They are immaculate and true, and filth does not stick to them. I mean, this is the ultimate reassurance, isn't it? By taking these mindful steps, you develop what I like to call a Teflon mindset. The absolute filth of daily stress, the toxic office politics, those annoying minor slights, they simply will no longer stick to you. You can exist in the middle of a totally chaotic environment, but just like that pure swan gliding gracefully on the water, the mud is just going to wash right off.
So I want to leave you with this final, absolutely vital question to reflect on today. Are you building your life in the mud puddle, or are you swimming in the ocean of pearls? Because every single day, through our reactions, our egos, and our choices, we're deciding whether we're going to be that frantic crane or the graceful swan. I really encourage you to take a deep breath today, step out of the mud, and start cultivating your own inner pool of peace. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep growing, and I'll catch you next time.